I believe in one God, the Father Almighty, maker of heaven and earth, of all things visible and invisible. I believe in one Lord Jesus Christ, the only begotten Son of God, born of the Father before all ages, God from God, light from light, true God from true God, begotten, not made, consubstantial with the Father. Through him all things were made, for us men and for our salvation. He came down from heaven, and by the Holy Spirit was incarnate of the Virgin Mary, and became man. For our sake he was crucified under Pontius Pilate. He suffered death and was buried, and rose again on the third day. In accordance with the Scriptures, he ascended into heaven, and is seated at the right hand of the Father. He will come again in glory, to judge the living and the dead, and his kingdom will have no end. I believe in the Holy Spirit, the Lord, the giver of life, who proceeds from the Father and the Son, who with the Father and the Son is adored and glorified, who has spoken through the prophets. I believe in one holy, Catholic, and Apostolic Church. I confess one baptism for the forgiveness of sins, and I look forward to the resurrection of the dead and the life of the world to come. Amen.
All right, we should be live. I'll wait to hear. How's the audio? I'll wait to hear from you all. Make sure you all are able to hear me, that I am audible by the grace of God. There we go. We are live. Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, depending on where you're tuning in. We're doing an early one today. Why are we doing an early one today? Because yesterday, a lot of you guys and gals you weren't happy we went so late. So I promise I like to do at least one early one a week. To be honest, I don't ever like doing early ones, but I will do it for our faithful in Europe and any other part of the world so they can tune in. If we get good engagement, if we get people talking and we get people interacting, well, I'll go live earlier. Usually, though, when we go live early, usually 80% of the chat are asleep. The engagement is terrible. So with that in mind, I don't really go live early that often. If we get good engagement, well, I'll go live earlier. I like people being awake, and people have told me, William, when you go live early, I'm at work or I am in bed or whatever the case may be. Either which way, I hope that you all are having a great day. We are going to do an open mic. I've pinned the link already. Open mic. Anything you have on your mind, whether you want to debate or ask me anything about the Marian Dogmas, it is open mic, open Q&A, open debate. Looking forward to dialoguing with any of you all. The link has been pinned, and immediately when I pin the link, people tend to, I'm with you, Mythical. I know you're going to see that we're not going to get a lot of engagement compared to in the evening. But if we do, hey, then I will eat my words. And we'll do earlier ones. But usually even people in the UK are half asleep or they're working or I don't know what at this time. So we'll see. With that in mind, for people that have come back here already, we got people back here already immediately when I put the link. So that's a good thing. We got almost 200 watching. That is another good thing. For people that are back here, which we've got people back here, remember on the right-hand side, what is your faith, persuasion? What is your faith? People very often say, well, what does faith, persuasion mean? What are you? You Protestant? You Catholic? What are you? Whatever your faith, persuasion is, let me know back here. I'll bring you up. We'll dialogue. Let me know what your faith is and what your question is, and we'll take it. We'll bring you back here. Yep. So it'll be a lot of fun. And tomorrow we're going to go live earlier. Tomorrow there is no choice. Tomorrow is a special day, special feast day. We're going to go live earlier than usual because I got to hit the road early tomorrow. I am flying out to California. I'm going to be in California for multiple days. I'm going to be doing a conference over there, a Mariology one. So I'm going to be flying out. I'm going to be over there for a number of days by the grace of God. Faithful, I hope you do pray for me. Pray for safe travels. I don't know how many likes do we have? I don't ever look at that, guys. When I'm live, I don't have time to look at that. I don't ever look at that. Oh, we got people back here already. Random Catholic. How you doing, brother? You able to hear me?
Good, William. How are you? I am
Uh,
able to hear you just fine.
I'm doing well, my friend. What's up? What do you got in your mind, my friend? You're here early,
Listen,
man. Are you in the
I'm
US? Where are you?
I'm in Arizona. Yeah, I'm always up there.
Okay. So it is what is it, 9:40 for you right now?
Yep, 9:48 and some seconds.
There we go. There we go. Nice, man. What do you got in your mind, my friend?
This has kind of been bugging me since the Feast of the Assumption.
Okay.
So at that mass, so my local NO parish, the one that I go to normally, has a Catholic school, and in the morning mass on the Feast of the Assumption, we had all the kids from the school in church, and the homily, obviously directed at the Assumption, the priest who was giving the homily said, and I don't know if his intention was to keep the story clean for kids or not, but that, Mary didn't die. She was just bodily assumed into heaven. Now, I've always had a problem with whether Mary died physically or not is an open theological question, and either opinion is valid. And that makes no sense to me. So I was just wondering if you could clarify for me.
Yeah. Now, to be very clear, what does the church teach definitively? As you know very well, in Munificentissimus Deus in 1950, in that the dogma of the Assumption, it teaches that at the end of Mary's earthly life, she was taken up body and soul into heaven. Now, the Pope carefully and deliberately did not define whether Mary died or whether she was assumed without death. The phrase, as you know very well, having completed the course of her earthly life, I guess it kind of leaves a little bit of wiggle room there. But wiggle room for what is the question? Because in that very same document, the Pope does teach that Mary died. In the very same one. Maybe not in the dogmatic decrees section, but as you go onward reading Munificentissimus Deus, it is taught that Mary died there. So that is present there in the teaching. Now, why is it a matter of not diving into how Mary's end happened? I guess because the different traditions define it differently. For instance, there are certain fathers that believe that she had a holy falling asleep and was immediately taken up body and soul into heaven. And then others that will not describe that as a death, but like I just said, a holy falling asleep. And then others that'll flat out say that it was a death. I tend to lean on the side of her having a holy death and then being taken up body and soul into heaven. Now, why does Munificentissimus Deus leave it open? Well, I think the fact that we've got early fathers that seem to have both positions in mind. In fact, a very good case can be made for the very early 4th century Saint Epiphanius for having believed in Mary being taken up before her death. A good case can be made for that. I think a case can be made that he believes she died as well. But again, that even at that is open-ended. But the idea that Mary died is part of the ordinary magisterium. So even though the dogma is worded to allow either view, the ordinary magisterium and liturgical tradition do teach she died. And what do we mean by the ordinary magisterium? It's right there in Munificentissimus Deus. It is there if you go on reading it. And we've got the feast day in our Eastern Catholic churches. So, I guess in the sense of a dogma, which is the highest level, the dogma does not touch upon that. But what we would call the ordinary magisterium strongly does teach that she did die. And even though that is not de fide, that is something that we should pay close attention to because the very document itself has that there. Then we look at the theological consensus. And I think that by the time we get to the great Dormition fathers and the great Assumption fathers right around the time of Damascene. So you got Damascene, St. Germanus of Constantinople, St. Andrew of Crete, Theotechnos of Livias, and others. And they all are pretty much unanimous that she had a holy death and then was taken up body and soul into heaven. So even though Mary's death is present in the magisterium, I would say at the level of ordinary magisterium, you're right, it isn't bound up there in the dogma in Munificentissimus Deus. But I tend to lean more towards that, her holy death, than that she was taken up body and soul into heaven.
I agree with you based on pretty much the same reading list.
Yeah.
My question, so I actually had a conversation
with the priest,
with the priest about this after Mass, right? And in my personal opinion, right, I believe Mary died to conform herself with the life and death of Christ.
I'm with you there. Yeah.
And for no other theological reason than that one, right?
Sure.
So if, as you say, it is part of the ordinary magisterium, things which we are required to intellectually assent to, unless you're a theologian having issues, right?
You're correct. Yeah.
Is it licit for a priest during a homily to make the statement that Mary did not die?
I mean, he can say that that's his opinion, but again, here's the other thing. Remember that even though it is part of the ordinary magisterium, we should give our assent to it. It very well could be that the priest doesn't know any better. That could be the case as well. I do not know how much knowledge your priest has, but is he pretty knowledgeable?
This particular priest knows better. I honestly believe that his homily was geared toward presenting a not whitewash, but sort of I don't have a really good adjective for this, but dumbed down version of the Assumption,
right?
To kids, to not freak them out by having to say that Mary died. You know what I mean? I can't think of a good adjective for that right off the top of my head.
Yeah. So you think that he just wanted to kind of skirt around the issue, so as to not shock the kids there, I guess.
Yeah, and this particular priest is actually my friend, right? So I know he knows better.
Right, yeah. Now, to be very clear, as you know very well, the ordinary magisterium, it carries weight to it. It carries authority. And Vatican II tells us very clearly, and as you brought up, you said it, you laid it home when you said that we are required to submit intellect and will. We're required to give religious submission of intellect and will. So yeah, you're right. If the magisterium, the ordinary magisterium, has proposed that Mary died and does so by noting the liturgical evidence of it in the very document that defines the Assumption, well then we should very well clearly realize, okay, the magisterium, even though this has not been solemnly defined as a dogma de fide, it's proposing her death as the ordinary teaching. So it's a little bit of a tricky thing. Can a Catholic deny it is a good question. And one of the ones that denied it was one of the greatest living Mariologists ever. He's no longer alive, but one of the greatest ever was Gigi. I don't know if you looked into it, but Father Martin Gigi did deny that Mary died. He argued for an immortal Mary, and he did a phenomenal job in showing that there are early fathers that do support his position. With that being said, the liturgical texts heavily favor the dormition of Mary, her holy death. But since her death is not part of what we would call a solemn dogmatic definition, you could then say a Catholic is not ipso facto heretical for questioning it. However, that's questioning it. So that's strictly speaking questioning it. However, to deny her death outright, you do run into a problem because you're going against the ordinary magisterium. And you're going against what I would argue to be the universal liturgical tradition. What do I mean? Obviously, very clearly, I don't want somebody to come back and say, well, William, there are liturgies that don't mention Mary's death. Come on, we got to be smarter. I mean the universal liturgical tradition that mentions the end of Mary's life. That is universally leaning towards them believing that she did die. So even though we could say a Catholic could properly withhold assent in a tentative, kind of reverent way, I think it's being stubborn to reject the ordinary teaching. And I think it's problematic that he did that.
Well, and I agree. I found it problematic, which is why I had the conversation about it with him afterward.
Yeah.
And he didn't claim that he was cleaning up the story to tell it to kids, but that's the impression that I got.
Yeah. And we've got to give him the benefit of the doubt. We've got to give him the benefit of the doubt. But you do know him, you said. You said he's your friend.
Yeah. We're pretty good friends. I mean, we're not like, BFFs or anything, but we go out for coffee, and he's been over to my house to bless it and
gotcha.
The normal things that a priest would do. But
Sure.
We're pretty well connected, and he's actually about to be reassigned to the diocese to be a canon lawyer. So that was his area of study. But
Gotcha.
he had to spend some time in pastoral ministry before he could go do that. So
right, yeah.
So when I say I know he knows better, I know he knows better. I know he knows the magisterium better than I do. So I don't know if I was concerned because he was presenting a theological opinion different from what I know he believes.
Sure.
Or if I was more concerned that he was presenting a hard teaching to children in an easy manner to make it more palatable for them. And I don't know how to harmonize that in my own head.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe you reaching out to him will help him become more precise with the language he uses and the way he breaks things down. So that could be a good thing. The other thing is there's nothing wrong with telling kids, hey, Mary died. And now she is in heaven, body and soul, with Jesus. There's nothing wrong with that. I don't know why he would think there is. I can only suppose and hope that hopefully your dialogue with him will make him realize there's nothing wrong with putting forth that teaching. And, you find that to be very prevalent in the fathers. And in my opinion, when we get to the period of church history, in the very early medieval era, we have what are called, as you know very well, Dormition Fathers. Now, why do they get tagged with that name? Well, very clearly because you get to a point in time where now the early fathers are really pondering about the end of Mary's life. Now they're talking about, okay, what happened at the end of her life? Did she die? What happened after her death? Where's her body? And when you get to that period of time of the Dormition Fathers, as I mentioned a number of them. John the monk is one of them. John the monk is one. Andrew of Crete, St. Germanus of Constantinople, St. John Damascene, Theotechnos of Livias, and there are others. But you get to that period of fathers that talk about the end of Mary's life, and to me, they seem to be quite unanimous that Mary did die. What they do note differently than polemicists today is they note that Mary's death was not because Mary had original sin, but as you mentioned there, brother, that her death was to conform herself to her son, of course, that she gave up, that she did want to be fully conformed to everything in terms of her son's mortality as well. So that you find among the Dormition Fathers as well. But the idea that she didn't die, that I would argue that even though you can find that early on, that definitely is a minority in the grand scheme of things.
Well, for my own part, it's a matter of catechesis, right? I mean, very
sure.
few, the far end of the bell curve is going to read as much about this subject as you or I or even the priest I mentioned, right?
Yep.
So as a matter of catechesis, how do we take all the teachings and everything we know to be true, bring it up to Munificentium Deus, and then harmonize that teaching, and then give our catechumens the true story, right?
Yeah.
And if there's a theological opinion somewhere between Mary didn't die and Mary did die, and it's licit for a catechist to tell either tale, that just doesn't seem right to me. It seems there's something wrong with that.
Yeah. No, I'm with you there. The only thing is that what is the state of catechesis in a lot of these parishes? That is the one thing that we've got to ask. What is the state of catechesis? Now, I don't know what the state of catechesis is there, but now,
I'm the catechist, so I'm the catechist. So,
but maybe you're
pretty good.
Well, maybe you're the exception, though. That's the thing.
I probably am.
So that doesn't say much, because maybe you are the exception. Because I have friends of mine that are apologists and they are catechists, and then they're one out of plenty that many others are not teaching what they should be. But yeah, so remember to draw a very clear distinction. It would be dogmatically licit, as you know, to hold the opinion that she didn't die, because there's no solemn definition binding to the contrary. But that does become another question as to whether or not one should teach that. So while it listed that the opinion that she did not die, one could hold that. It definitely is what we would say, virgin on the level of disobedience to the magisterium to flat out deny her death due to what Munificentissimus Deus says in particular, and not only that, the broader theological opinion. So it isn't wise to assert she didn't die. It goes against the liturgical consensus, and right there and as you know very well, in the document itself, that can be quite problematic, because it does run contrary to, the ordinary magisterium, and we need to give our assent to the ordinary magisterium.
Yeah, I mean, the weird thing is, this has been on my mind almost every day since August 15th, and I just want it to go away. I just want to not have this thought anymore. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I definitely would not focus too much on it. It'll take up a lot of your time. It'll make your life miserable. You really should. Just my advice would be to pray for your friend, pray for the priest, and hopefully your dialogue with him will touch his heart, and he'll reconsider how he lays this out for the faithful, or at least maybe his next homily he'll say, this is part of the ordinary magisterium, and then he says, this is an opinion that I've held to privately. Who knows? But my best advice would be to definitely pray for your priest friend.
Yeah, I only have to wait 46 weeks to find out, I guess.
There you go. There you go, man. Pray for him, brother. Definitely pray for him. We got to pray for all of our priests, all of our bishops. We got to pray for all of our deacons, all of our holy, all of the ones that are in holy ministry. We got to pray for them all. And our catechists, man. Our catechists too, man. I mean, these are people that are teaching, they're teaching the young ones. They're teaching people that are coming into the faith. We got to pray for them as well, because I tell you one thing, maybe you are the exception, but going around the country, the state of catechesis, we got to work on that. We really do.
Oh, I agree 100%. Something I've been thinking about is, how to get people like you and people like Sam and people like in the apologetic sphere to actually make videos about catechesis. Like, I know you guys have like the deep knowledge.
I thought about doing it. I thought about it.
How do we bring that deep knowledge up to a level where we can actually translate it to catechumens as simple lessons and not, autistic deep dives into, the minutia of everything?
I've thought about it, because I do teach catechism. I've thought about it, but my time limits, it's just impossible. By the grace of God, maybe one day, but right now it's just not even a question. There's zero time, no possibility. I would have no life. I would never see my daughter. I would never see my family. I'd have no life. So it's just a matter of maybe one day I'll have the time, but at the current moment, this is way too much on my platter to ever have the time to even do that.
No, I get it.
I wish I did. I wish I did.
Thanks for your hospitality. I really appreciate your time. I'll let you get back to it.
Hey, brother, God bless you, my friend. Great talking to you.
All right,
brother.
God bless you.
You take care. Great dialogue with a brother, Random Catholic. Always great dialoguing with him. You guys are great. Let me know what you guys have in your mind. We had many people back here and many dropped off. I guess they didn't like that I was talking for a little bit with the brother, Random Catholic. But if you are back here right now, remember what a lot of people did not do while I was dialoguing with Random Catholic. They didn't put anything in the private chat. Nothing. What is your faith? What do you have on your mind in the private chat? Private chat is right over there. If you are back here and you want to come up, or you want to debate me on a topic or ask me a question, right there, man. Come on, man. Right there. Don't just drop off. Don't just drop off, man. Frank, God bless you for your support, my friend. Thank you so much, brother, for giving us a normal stream, not at 4 a.m. Brother, I gave you my word, and I promised you I would go live early today, and here we are early. By the grace of God, we're getting good engagement, man. Maybe I'll do earlier ones more often, even though I don't like doing them early, man. I want to tell you, Frank, number one, thank you for being an incredible member, and thank you for your support, my man. You rock, brother. You are my 5,488th favorite heretic, brother. Frank, I love you, my friend. Yeah, James, you got that right, man. AB, how you doing, heretic? How you doing, my man? How you doing today, brother? I maybe one day, by the grace of God, we'll dive into it. I tell you one thing, as one that has taught catechism for many years, I have whole slides, lesson plans. I've got it for second grade, third grade, fourth grade, fifth grade, and beyond as well. I've got whole lessons that I put together for the whole calendar year of church calendar year. And who knows, maybe one day I'll record videos. But right now, it'd be impossible. I'd love to do that one day. I would. And I'll be honest with you guys, your support allows us to do what we do. So if you all do view that as a worthy endeavor, we'll definitely look into it. I will tell you all, your support allows us to do what we do. We are able to produce material because of your support. So if you do like that idea, if you do want that, definitely consider donating or supporting the ministry, and we will definitely dive into that in the future by the grace of God. Is that a heretic? Is that my heretic brother? Is that you?
God bless you, brother.
Oh, it is you. I got to be careful there, brother. I didn't know. Brother, what's up, brother? What do you got in your mind, my man?
Well, I was going to ask you, well, I know the answer, but I always like to ask questions.
Yeah, go for it, brother. You always ask very good ones.
Apart from Revelation 12,
Uh-huh.
how do you substantiate Mary being the Queen of Heaven?
Mm-hmm. That is a great one. Oh, man. So
I'm going to throw you a curveball.
It's not a curveball. I'm just trying to think of what angle to tackle it from, because you handicapped me. You took away Revelation 12. Now, can I build up and get to Revelation 12?
I mean, I would say no, but I could say yes.
Man,
so I'll say yes.
Okay.
No, go for it. Go for it.
Now let's do this. So we won't get to there right now. And I know where you like going. I know you love going to many great Old Testament passages. So Mary as Queen of Heaven. Let's begin in the Old Testament, the way you would do it. So biblical theology, to be very clear, heavily emphasizes the Davidic kingdom structure. Indeed, we know that is the structure. That is how it is in heaven. And if biblical theology, emphasizes the Davidic kingdom structure, well, then we've got to look at how the Davidic kingdom was laid out in the Old Testament. That is why I like beginning right there in the Old Testament before we ever even get into the New. And in the Old Testament, and you know this very well because we've done shows, and in fact, we've done shows on all the dogmas. So Brother James knows this very, very well. But in the Old Testament, immediately what we see is a Davidic kingdom structure. You've got the king's mother, known as the Gebirah, and the Gebirah is known as the Great Lady, or another proper way of terming the Gebirah is the Queen Mother. Now, as you know very well, the Queen Mother had a throne. Where was it? It was beside her son. We know that in 1 Kings 2:19. I'm sure there are many other passages, but my brain is not an encyclopedia like James. So that is the only one I remember off the top of my head. 1 Kings 2:19. And I know that one because that is the famous Bathsheba one where she sits at Solomon's right hand. So right away, audience, I need you to pay attention. In the Old Testament, you clearly have the king's mother, the Gebirah. That is the Queen Mother. That is the way the Old Testament Davidic kingdom was structured, meaning you've got the king and then you've got the queen. The queen was the mother. The queen was not any wife. The queen was not any woman such as women that the king was courting or women that he was married to. The queen was the mother. That is the way it was laid out, period. So the Gebirah was always going to be the queen mother. We see that laid out clearly with Bathsheba, and that is the way the Bible lays it out. So that is the Davidic kingdom, the way it is laid out. We know that Jesus is the eternal heir of David, and if you don't know that, you're not a Christian, or you don't know that yet. But in Luke 1:32-33, we read that the Lord God will give him the throne of his father David, or of David his father. So if he is rightly the eternal heir of the Davidic throne, and he is, I don't know a living Christian that would deny that. Well, then, what is the model of the Davidic kingdom? That model is that the mother will take on the role of Queen Mother. That is why we know Holy Mary's queenship flows not from herself. Everything was because of Jesus, not from herself, but from her son's kingship. But the theology is right there. That is why when we encounter Mary in Luke 1:28, immediately in Luke 1:28, Holy Mother Mary is greeted with a royal greeting by the Archangel Gabriel. Indeed, the hail full of grace, without, even though we know full of grace means Mary is all holy without sin. For a moment, let us put full of grace over here to the right-hand side, and let us focus on the Kyrie, the hail. Well, that kind of a greeting, as you know very well, James, it's not just like me saying, hey, what's up, dude? Or hello. But that is the kind of greeting given to royalty. You find similar ones given to kings and queens in the Old Testament. So this is a royal greeting showing you indeed the biblical theology of the Davidic kingdom. That structure is right there before your very eyes. And by the way, Elizabeth will echo that royal language when she says, how is it granted me that the mother of my Lord should come to me? Pointing to Mary as being royalty. She is the new ark of the new covenant.
Yeah, there's 5 occurrences of Chaire.
Right.
Of which 4 belong to our Lord. I'm talking in the New Testament strictly, which is a problem for a lot of Protestants.
Big time.
The ones that reject Queen of Heaven, because you now have to affirm that there is 1 of 5 occurrences that belong to the Blessed Mother.
Right.
Such an elevation is actually, like you said, not absurd according to the biblical narrative, right? Mm-hmm. We know that in Jeremiah 13:18, it is said that they should come down from their thrones, for their crowns have come off their heads.
Yep.
That's addressed to the king and the queen mother, the Gebira.
That's correct.
William said. So in that sense, we know that Mary is a queen. Now, that might substantiate her queenship on earth, but not in heaven. Mm-hmm. Well, we know St. Luke, he'll make the parallel between the ark and the Blessed Mother, Luke 1 and 2 and 2 Samuel 6. He will make that parallel over and over again. But we know that David in his Psalms says that the ark goes to the resting place with the Lord.
100%.
And
100%.
So when we read Acts 1, we find out that the Lord goes up. Mm-hmm. He ascends into heaven.
Yep.
As a matter of fact, 2 angels say to him, why do you look upon this Jesus? He shall return in the manner he went up.
Yep.
Now, what's problematic is Revelation 22:16, where our Lord is identified of the root of David in heaven. If it is true he's of the root of David in heaven, and Davidic traditions cannot be, the opposite of fulfilled.
Yep.
Then the Queen Mother is in heaven with the Son, who 100%. Is of the line of David.
Yep.
And the connotation of Revelation 22:16 is rather dangerous to our separated brethren who choose not to follow this.
It's very dangerous. And I noticed, and I'm glad that you particularly handicapped me on not using Revelation 12, because that's a great point, because Protestants are very incredibly blinded when it comes to Revelation 12. Will do anything to fight that is Mary. They'll do anything. So it's great, and it's a brilliant idea to make the case from other passages even before you get to Revelation 12. Now, Revelation 12 really is a death blow to their position, but you can prove the queenship of Mary even from other passages. So I really, really like that angle.
Yeah, no, I just thought it's important. People should know that in the Book of Kings, every single time a king is mentioned, his mother is mentioned.
Yep.
Right? Yep. And if you guys want to know, you can go back to our show. We actually did a show, William and I, and the brother Liam, on the queenship of Mary, right? And you'll find that every time a king is mentioned, the Queen Mother is mentioned. Of course, you have 1 Kings 2. Right.
The classical one. Yep.
Right. And so it is clear that she has a role. In Jeremiah 29, because it really states that the Queen Mother is the greatest after the king.
100%.
It provides a hierarchical enumeration of the Davidic kingdom. That's Jeremiah 29, 1 and 2.
Yep.
And in that way, we see heaven, don't we?
Yep.
Right. And he's not
beautiful.
He's not merely king in heaven. He's king in heaven and on earth.
Of course.
St. Paul,
Without a doubt.
St. Paul affirms this for us in Ephesians 1:10 when he says, all things in him, all things in heaven and on earth.
Yep.
Right.
Absolutely. Great points, brother.
So anyway, love you, bro. Love you guys. Miss you,
brother.
Guys.
God bless you, brother. Look forward to seeing you again. When are you going live again, brother?
Oh, man.
You don't know?
I think I was supposed to go live 2 weeks ago. It's been really busy. Please, crazy. Guys, pray for me. Please.
Brother, be praying for you, brother. Whenever you do go live, let me know, my friend.
Seems like I originally thought I'd be 3 months off, 9 months on YouTube. Looks like I'll be 4 months off, 8 months on YouTube. So.
Brother, hit me up when you're going live again, brother.
All right. God bless you guys.
God bless you, brother. God bless you. Much love, brother. God bless you, my friend. Timmy, what's up, brother? What you got in your mind, my man? How you doing, buddy?
Check. How are you?
You're great, brother.
Perfect. All right. So I was just kind of curious about the purification of Mary. One of the things that was she born without any sin, and she was completely and utterly pure?
Okay, hold on. That is a very loaded question. Do you mean the purification from Mary in the Fathers, or the purification from Mary in the Bible? Because, as you know very well, there are two different ones.
So, how about let's go ahead and do both? Because I want to go ahead and hear both perspectives, so then we can actually
So the very clear one in the Fathers, I can summarize it for you immediately. Mm-hmm. The purification of Mary, there are many fathers that believe Mary was purified at the Annunciation. The issue is that is not a purification from sin. These fathers are using purification in the positive sense, in the sense of her being receiving an addition of graces. And we know that because that is the way fathers like Cabasilas and many others, they not only use that term, but they describe it as an addition of graces. So that is at the Annunciation, Mary is made even fuller of grace to prepare her for being the mother of God.
Okay.
But then there is the famous purification text in the Bible. I don't know if you were referring to that one as well.
I have never heard of this perspective. I was going to go ahead and say, I thought it was like, I want to go ahead and understand the understanding of being pure in order to go ahead and host the Lord in her womb. Right? Sure. So that's why I was going to go ahead and ask about that. I think, once the Holy Spirit flowed, well, how do I say it? Tabernacled, overshadowed her. Yes, thank you. Mm-hmm. Overshadowed her. That's where the purification came in, and that's where she was actually completely and utterly pure. That
doesn't make any sense, because she's called full of grace even before that. So there's no possible way that the overshadowing is going to make her all pure. If when the Archangel Gabriel greets her, he greets her immediately in the vocative as hail, having been fully graced, and she's already in the past already fully graced, even before the Archangel Gabriel comes into her. So that is why the fathers had the theory of, they recognize the Greek is indicative of her all being all holy already, but then they say Mary, and you have multiple fathers. Ephraim is one, Cyril of Jerusalem, and many others saying that Mary is purified at the Annunciation, but they don't use purification in a negative sense, because then Ephraim will go on to say that the purification is a polishing of her mind, not from any impurity, but to prepare her for all the trials that she's going to undergo. So many of them taught about her needing to grow in grace throughout her life. Even though she's always been full of grace, as she grows older, at each stage of her life, she will need more graces from the Lord to be able to endure more trials and more tribulations. So that was a very prevalent view in the fathers, the purification. And then there is the pre-purification of Mary, which is prokatharthisa, which is the idea of Mary being purified even before the Annunciation to prepare her for every step and every walk of the way. But neither of them are purifications from sin. That's the important thing.
Okay. No, thank you for that distinction, and thank you for that that how do I say it the best way possible? That the okay, I can't even talk right now. I'm sorry. But
The
thank you
theological
for
teaching, I guess.
yeah, it was profound.
Okay.
Also another thing, I'm
Sure.
sorry, it might be a little bit too. I know it's like a little bit off stepping what you got on right now, but I was kind of curious. I never really got like with you and the Ryan debate. I've always thought it was always going to be the understanding of works as like a marriage, or like being faithful is like in a marriage.
Yeah, it's a covenant.
Would it be a better understanding to actually call it a marriage rather than just like?
Yeah. Well, you can call it a covenant. You can
Like
call it a covenant, a faithful covenant.
Okay.
Yeah, you can. Now, there's nothing wrong with using the term works because James 2 does it. And
Yeah,
even
absolutely.
Romans 2. But I think the one thing that we need to be careful with, and if you look and you read the documents at the Council of Trent never says faith alone versus good works, but rather it talks about being faithful to the Lord and walking with the Lord. And I think that's a better way of laying it out. Although there's nothing wrong with talking about good works, we've got to make the emphasis on being faithful to the Lord.
Okay, and I think that is one good thing thank you. I just wanted to go ahead and like maybe have a better further definition of it, maybe for people to understand, because a marriage is very, very much a really long lifetime commitment. And yeah, absolutely. And also, if you're not doing anything for your wife or your husband, I mean, what are you going to do?
It's going to crumble.
Yeah, it's going to crumble. You have to go ahead and do your part.
100%. Otherwise, that crumbles. Yep.
So it is literally being part of a marriage.
Yep. You got it right. How do you like the debate?
It was really good.
Glad you liked it.
And I think that that's why I was wanting to go ahead and maybe think of it as like a marriage. It's not just faith and works. It's more about like it's a marriage.
Right. It's a marriage covenant, being faithful to the Lord. But again, that faithfulness, it far outstrips what the reformers were arguing for.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the whole point of what I was bringing up. It far outstrips what Ryan was arguing for. But I don't want to go too deep into that because we are talking about Mary. But I'll definitely do another and Ask Me Anything again, God willing, in a few days.
Yeah, and I appreciate it. I'm so sorry I kind of overshot the boundaries. No, this was awesome, and God bless you, man.
God bless you, brother. Anything else in your mind, my friend?
No, and that'll be it. And by the way, you have a wonderful day.
God bless you, brother. You pray for me, my friend. I'll be praying for you. Great talking to Timmy. Always great talking to him. God bless him. Muslim. What is your question about Mary, buddy? You got to clear that throat, brother.
Can you hear me, brother?
I can hear you. What's up? What's your question about Mary?
Greetings, brother. How are you doing, brother?
I'm doing well. I'm doing great, my friend. What's up, brother?
Is it specifically about Mother Mary?
Sure, yeah, no doubt. But I mean, even if it's about Mary, we can definitely talk about the Quranic view about Mary and how the Quran gets Mary wrong. We can do that.
No, I don't think it would be a great topic to talk about that. I think we should talk about
what was Mary's father's name? What was Mary's father's name according to the Quran?
I'm not sure about that.
You don't know what the Quran says about Mary's father's name? Are you
not
Muslim?
Sure. I think it's Imran. I have to check. Yeah, I'm Muslim.
How long have you been Muslim?
From birth.
And you had to think about that? It is Imran. So let me ask you this question, and I'm asking you in good faith. Anywhere in history, anywhere in all the hundreds of years before Muhammad, where on earth does anyone say that Mary's father is Imran?
We don't know.
It doesn't say that anywhere, my friend. Anywhere. The Quran gets a ton of historical errors wrong. Why would he be a Muslim if the Quran can't even get basic historical facts about the mother of Christ right? Imagine if it can't get things about Mary right, it most definitely cannot get things about Jesus right.
What's wrong about that? What does it say?
Mary, daughter of Imran. Imran Imran is not the father, or Amram is not the father of Mary. And the Quran speaks of the family of Imran. And it says that Imran is Mary's father. But the problem is, very clearly, this is a historical error. There's not a single source before Muhammad. Before Muhammad gets this wrong,
I'll explain. I'll
there's not a single source. Go ahead, my friend.
Yeah, it's not an error, because sometimes in Arabic language, name doesn't intersect with each other. Just like John the Baptist, it's called Yahya in Quran.
Okay, so
Yahya and John is complete.
So how can Imran?
Listen.
How can Imran be Joachim? There is no possible way. The
just
problem,
like John the Baptist. Yeah.
The problem that
just
you are. Hold on, my friend. The problem that you are encountering is that Islamic tradition does tell us that this is not merely just an ideological way of saying Imran. That's not the real name. No, Imran is considered to be the name of Mary's father. And Imran cannot be Joachim. And Joachim is the ancient liturgical view universally of the church. And you can look at early historical sources and they tell you the name is Imran, that it really truly is a name. It is not, we even read that it is the family of Imran. So this is clearly an error, my friend.
It does. Just like you don't let me finish. Just like John the Baptist.
I could not hear you, my friend. What did you say?
Hey, can you? Just
You're
like
breaking up, brother.
Am I audible? You?
I can hear you, my friend. Yeah, I hear you there.
Yeah, just like John the Baptist called Yahya, Yahya in Quran. That's why when the language is translated into other languages, the name changes. Just like in Hebrew Bible, it is Yaqub, and in English it changes.
So you're telling me that Imran, this is going to be very embarrassing for you, my friend. So you're telling me that Imran is another name for Joachim. Is that right?
Would be.
There's no possible way. Imran corresponds to Amram. There's no possible way. Imran corresponds to Amram. That is the father of Moses, Aaron, and Miriam. Muhammad got an error wrong, and he confused these historical figures. Imran is corresponding to Amram. These are two different names. There's no possible way on planet Earth that Imran is Joachim. There's no way on earth. And there's not even a living scholar of yours that argues that. Shame on you for being a liar. Now you should know better. Maybe you don't realize that you're lying. Maybe you don't realize that you're lying, but this is a lie. There is no possible way that Imran can be Joachim. Go ahead, my friend.
Can I speak, brother? Can I speak? You already issued the judgment without listening to me. That's unfair.
I heard your argument for John the Baptist, and you said Imran was another name for Joachim.
You didn't, my brother.
You said that Imran was another name for Joachim. I want you to show me that. Where is the early document that shows me that Imran is another name for Joachim?
It doesn't have to.
Oh, it doesn't have to. There we go. It doesn't have to. Only because you believe it does, right? I'm sorry, my friend, but calling Mary the daughter of Imran is a lie. It is a mistake. It is a mistake, and there's no way on earth. Let me tell you this. If the Quran meant Joachim, then it should not also call her the sister of Aaron. That ties her directly to Moses' brother. That's not a translational quirk, my friend.
Let me put it this way. What's the evidence that mother's Mary father was Joachim?
Excuse me?
What's the evidence for that? What's the evidence for that the
First off, in the Gospel of Luke, we have Heli there. That's Joachim, number one. Heliokim, that's him.
Yeah.
So that's him. My friend, I'm not done. I'm not done. You're not going to speak over me. I'm not done speaking. Heli is Heliokim. That's Joachim. Number one, that's biblical. So the Bible is taking you out already. That's very early. That's first century. Then I can go to the second century, where Joachim is the father of Mary, second century proto-evangelium. I'm still in the second century when I find it in St. Clement of Alexandria. I'm in the early third century when I go to Origen of Alexandria. And I can go on and on, buddy. This is in the liturgical life of the church, biblical and early liturgical life, whereas your silly Quran tells me that Imran, making this mistake, you're telling me it's a translational quirk. It can't be. Because if the Quran simply meant Joachim for that hilarious error, then it wouldn't then call her a sister of Aaron. that is tying her to Moses' brother. That's not a translational quirk. And you don't fix that by arguing that it's just, oh, well, you know, it also means Joachim. Show me the evidence of that.
Sister of Helen is another, bogus argument from you.
Show me.
Second thing.
Show me evidence. I'm going to ask you once more. I'm being very kind to you.
Evidence of
Show
what?
me evidence where anyone ever before Muhammad, who in my opinion was insanely ignorant, show me anyone before Muhammad that made this hilarious error.
No one.
And thought Joachim. Thank you. Why are you Muslim?
And it's not.
Why do you remain Muslim? Thank you for your honesty.
You are considering.
Not many. Hold on. I want to commend you.
You don't let me finish. You don't let me at least a minute. You don't let me talk at least a minute. You don't give me a minute.
I'm going to give you 30 seconds.
Why are you panicking, brother?
I'm going to give you 30 seconds. I'm going to give you 30 seconds. But I want to say something for the audience. Thank you for finally admitting, because not many people come up here and admit just how damnably wrong Islam is. Thank you for admitting to how damnably wrong that Islam is. I'm speaking. You're not going to speak over me. I'm speaking. You're not going to speak over me. You can try 100 times. You're not going to do it. I will allow you now. I'm going to give you 30 seconds because you just admitted a very clear error. You conceded the whole argument. You admitted that there is nobody that makes that argument until we get to the mega genius, Sherlock Muhammad. Right?
Is this how the way you talk, brother?
Is it? No, man. That somebody else is talking to
me. Please do not use your head in the matters which you don't understand.
It's not me.
All right?
Oh, that I don't understand. My friend, you just came here. You came here and you told the audience that that is a translational quirk. And I just pulverized you. And you admitted there's nobody before Muhammad with that horrible view. And you're telling me that I am panicking. I've got my head and I don't understand things. You've gotten embarrassed, my friend. This is pretty bad. Panicking? I think that I look pretty calm, man. I think I look pretty calm, right? There's no way on earth there's not a living Muslim that could make me panic. There's none of them. Because they arrive here to Bill's Butcher House, and I put them through the ringer from the Bible, early church history, and their own funny book. Their own funny book. So now I'm going to ask you, do you want to talk about Mariology? Because you came here knowing what the show is about. Are you interested in talking about Mariology? Because now I want to talk about how Mary is presented as the mother of God, and your Quran denies that. Are you ready to talk about Mariology?
Are you serious with the mother of God? Are you serious, brother?
Excuse me?
Why are you putting me in the backstage, bro?
You're right here. I'm not putting you in the camera because I'm not sure that you're going to do something.
Can you open Second Chronicles,
I'm not putting you on the camera, my friend.
Yeah. Can you open Second Chronicles, please?
So, since you just miserably were not able to answer this, now we're going to deal with this.
Yeah,
What's your question? No, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to give you 30 seconds. I'm going to give you 30 seconds. You read whatever you want to read, and then you ask me the question. If you're able to have a fruitful dialogue, we'll go back and forth. If you then begin manifesting and going wild, then I'm going to mute you. I'm going to give you 30 seconds, ask your question. I'm going to put the timer. I'm very, very fair, man. You're going to find that I'm very fair because I don't like people like you going and crying and saying that I didn't give him a chance.
30 seconds isn't enough. Make it one.
Make it 1 second. You want 1 second? No, I'm giving you 30 seconds. You've got 30. I'm not giving you 1 minute. Okay, I'll give you a minute. If in that 1 minute you begin to pontificate and make stupid comments, I'm going to shut you down. You got 1 minute to read what you want to read and to ask your question. Go now.
Yeah, thank you. So when languages are translated into different language, it changes. Just like we see in a Hebrew Bible, the name Yaqub there. But when it translated, it's begun to translate as Jacob. Why Yaqub and Jacob? Because Hebrew and English are completely different languages. Similarly, when Quran changes, like Mother's Mary's father's name and Jesus to Isa, we see all that. So name changes. It's not a bigger problem, nor is a contradiction. It's your lack of understanding. Second things, if I am here to challenge the errors in the Bible, like 2 Chronicles 35 and 2 Kings 23. They are contradicting each other. That means the Bible is false and corrupted.
Okay, so we're going to answer your first question, and I'm going to refute you, and this is going to be pretty embarrassing. So you said that when names shift, that it first off, it's hilarious. As you admitted to the audience, there's nowhere in planet Earth that Imran can be Joachim. There's no way. And there's no way that Joachim can then become Imran. It's very clearly an error, and it's a chronological error. Even the earliest Muslim Islamic documents recognize that it is an error. So you're in trouble.
Which one?
The other issue is that when names shift in the Bible, which you don't know, it's not arbitrary. What happens is you have historical linguistic transmission. So when you mention Yaakov, what does that become in Greek? What does it become in Greek? Iakobos. And what does it become in Latin? Jacobus. And what does it become in English? James. Where on earth, where on planet Earth does Imran and Joachim, where do they intersect? There is no linguistic intersection. There is none. There is no linguistic intersection. There is no transliteration. For Joachim, you would have Yehoiakim or Eliakim or Joachim. You don't have Imran. You don't have Imran. And you don't know languages, Muslim. I don't know your name because you just had the name Muslim. You don't know languages. You definitely don't know Greek or Hebrew, because in the Greek Septuagint text, Joachim is Eoakim. And that is seen through usage in early Judaism and Christian writings. Imran, however, Imran is a completely different name. Not only in history, but in consonantal structure. But you just admitted to the audience, didn't you? You admitted to the whole audience that no one in all of history, nobody in all of history ever thought Imran and Joachim were one of the same. You just admitted that. So I'm going to ask you this. Is Imran, is it similar in consonantal structure and history? I want you to answer that for me.
So I've already explained it. Let the people decide. I've already explained it in the simplest manner.
I think the people are going to laugh at you. This is hilarious.
They have to.
You did miserably. You just told the audience Imran and Joachim.
Let me talk.
You just told the audience that Imran and Joachim,
that
never is Joachim identified as Imran until Muhammad. Until Muhammad
they can laugh as much
hilarious. They're laughing. They're laughing, my friend. I can put up a poll and I can ask them if they're laughing. Guys, are you laughing? Guys, are you laughing? I want to know if they're laughing. Oh, Michelle's on the floor right now. Her father, her husband's got to pick her up from the floor. They're laughing their heads off,
in this life and hellfire in here.
So let me ask you this. No, hellfire is Muhammad.
Now let me ask you this. You tell me.
Hellfire is where Muhammad is. Hellfire is where Muhammad is. That is where he is. Hellfire is where Muhammad is, buddy. So then I'm going to ask you one more time. And then we can move on over to Mary as Mother of God. This is a Mariology stream. I need you to answer this. And if you can't answer it, then we'll move over to something else. And if you can't even answer that, then we'll get rid of you. I need you to tell me, is the name Imran like the name? We can look at Jacob. You brought up Jacob. Yaakov becomes Iakobos in Greek. And then Jacobus in Latin. Even Jacob in English or James. So I'm going to ask you, is Imran, is it similar at all in any kind of consonantal structure? Is it similar at all with Joachim? Answer for me.
First, you have to prove your position in order to judge.
So can you answer?
You understand that? So you have
yes or no?
Yeah. I'm answering. Okay. It's not. It's not a yes or no. Let me explain.
It is a yes or no because it should be similar.
It's not. Please let me talk.
It should be similar in structure.
You have to present your like Joachim. You have to present that Joachim is the correct name.
I already did.
To judge mine.
I already did. I already showed you from the Bible. I already showed you from the Bible. I already showed you from the Bible in the Gospel of Luke, Eliakim. I already showed you there. It's Heli. I already showed you. Maybe it's difficult and it doesn't go into your thick skull, but I already showed you. In the Bible, Eliakim, I'm going through a chronological order. You cannot give me anything other than the buffoon Muhammad. And yet I am giving you 1st century, 2nd century, 3rd century, and I can go onward. Eliakim is in the Bible. That's 1st century. And then 2nd century is the proto-evangelium of James. I show up and I've got receipts here. You show up and you've got your hilarious comics known as the Quran. You've got the funnies that you're reading. So if you cannot give me a clear answer, we'll move on to someone else. Let me know. Are you able to give me a clear answer? I'm telling you guys, when they show up to Bill's Butcher House, it doesn't go well. When they show up to Bill's Butcher House, it never ends well. When they show up here to Bill's Butcher House, it doesn't end well at all. Jimmy, my man, thank you for your phenomenal support. You guys rock. Thanks for the killer 10 out of 10 answer of my question yesterday. Jimmy, I hope you loved it because we touched upon Tertullian, the perpetual virginity of Mary, and we touched upon a lot of Mariology, man. You rock, brother. Thank you for your incredible support. God bless you. You guys were able to do what we do here because of your incredible support. And shout out to you, Brother Jimmy. You rock, my friend. God bless you, brother. When they show up here to Bill's Butcher House, it doesn't end well. It doesn't end well, man. It ends miserably when they show up here to Bill's Butcher House. I love it, though, man. The doors are open. Doors are open for business, man. Doors are open for business, man. They're open every time I'm live. I'm not like others that only go live and we don't challenge people and I want people to come up. No, I want you to come up. I'm inviting you to my butcher house. That is what I'm inviting you to. My man, you rock, Gary. Thank you for your incredible support, my friend. And who got gifted a membership? Demystifal got gifted one. Shout out to Gary for your incredible support, brother. You are amazing. You guys were able to do what we do because of your incredible support. Thank you for your support, Gary. You rock, my man. How's your day going, Gary? Hope you're having a phenomenal day, my friend. Ian, you able to hear me, Ian?
Are you able to hear me?
I can hear you, brother. What's up?
So I wanted to ask about the Immaculate Conception.
All right. What's your faith persuasion first?
I mean, I attend a Roman Catholic church, but I don't really hold to many Roman Catholic beliefs anymore. So
what do you hold to? What are you?
I'm discerning, but I still attend a Roman Catholic church. I got confirmed earlier this year. So.
And yet you don't believe in many Catholic teachings. What do you believe in then?
Like I said, I'm discerning, but. You could help me come back to it, So that's why I wanted to ask you some questions.
That's why I'm asking you what you're discerning. Common sense would say, depending on what you're discerning, the angle's different. If you're discerning Protestantism, which I hope you're not, we'll all laugh here. Then I need to answer you according to the way I would talk to a Protestant. If you're discerning Eastern Orthodoxy, then I need to. It depends on the angle, my friend. Don't be ashamed of what you're discerning.
Well, specifically, I wanted to ask about some of the Marian doctrines. So. Because that's one of the core differences between, Catholicism and Protestantism.
Okay, what's up? What's your question about the Immaculate Conception?
So you know how in Mark chapter 10, the rich man comes to Jesus and asks, how do I get to heaven? And Jesus says something along the lines of why do you call me good? There's none are good but God. So why didn't he say none are good but God and Mary? Because if Mary was born sinless and never sinned, wouldn't that make her good?
Go ahead. I continue asking.
That's my question is when Jesus says that none are good but God alone, shouldn't he also say Mary if she's sinless and never sinned in her life?
Is Jesus saying that he's good as well? Is Jesus
yeah,
good?
he's implying that he's God.
Okay, then we're on the same page there. Okay. The problem is Jesus is not denying that humans can be good in a derivative sense. We need to understand what he's saying there. He's challenging the rich young ruler to recognize his divine identity. That is the whole point there, to recognize the divine identity. And I'm going to just briefly put you in mute, brother, because you got a little bit of bad feedback there. But notice how when he's challenging the rich young ruler, the man says, the man calls Jesus, good teacher. But notice how even though he calls him good teacher, he's seeing him only as a rabbi, not as God. That is the main thrust of, and by the way, it's not only Mark 10, it's Luke 18 and Matthew 19. But the man calls him good, but he's only seeing him as a teacher. He then pretty much is pressing him, noting that if you call me good, you need to recognize that only God and God alone is good. The thing is that this is not a metaphysical claim. that no creature can ever be called good. It is rather a Christological challenge that shows that inherently only God truly is good, and everything flows from that. Otherwise, we can say that nobody's good. But the book of Genesis says otherwise. Genesis 1 says, God saw his creation, it was good. So then is Jesus a liar? Of course not. Being good flows from being united to God. Just like Mary's holiness flows from being united to God. Mary is not all sinless by nature, but by grace. Noah's called a righteous man. He's called all righteous in the book of Genesis. Just like that, and just like Zechariah and Elizabeth, they're both called righteous. Mary is called full of grace. That points to her spiritual perfection. So if you take Jesus' words as blanket that nobody can be good, well, then very clearly the Bible's a lying book, because God says his creation is good. And Noah is called righteous. And Zechariah and Elizabeth are righteous. And Mary is full of grace. So then the Bible would be contradicting itself. The problem is we need to understand what Jesus is saying. We're looking at what is absolute goodness, and this is not just a matter of Marian Dogmas, because if you take those words literally, meaning nobody is good other than God and no living creature is good, well, then you've got a problem not with Marian Dogmas, you've got a problem with the Bible, taking that in a literalistic manner and not understanding the context. The Bible is full of contradictions then. But rather, we need to distinguish between absolute goodness and goodness that flows from God. So absolute goodness belongs only to God, because he is goodness, and that is a divining attribute of God. But then we refer to the goodness that flows from God, what we refer to as participated goodness, which belongs to creatures. And how do we know that? Because the Bible tells us all over the place. Zechariah, Elizabeth, Noah, God's creation. I haven't even brought up Mary. Notice how, so people don't say, well, of course you're going to bring up Mary as an example. I haven't even brought her up right now. Zechariah and Elizabeth are righteous. Noah is righteous. God's creation is good. So with that in mind, we need to understand how the Bible is using good. We need to understand what the context is. And then we realize creatures are called good. They're even called righteous. Then we understand the concept of what is being broken down here by God. Christ, who's God. Does that make sense, Ian?
Yeah, that makes sense.
I'm just being fair, because otherwise you don't run into a problem with the Marian Dogmas. You run into the problem with the Bible if you are not understanding the context, because many people are called good and righteous.
Yeah.
And Zechariah and Elizabeth were alive. They were around.
Okay, can I ask something else? It's on the same subject.
Yeah, man.
So in Matthew 11:11, I'll just read it directly. Jesus says, "Truly I say to you, among those born of women, there has risen no one greater than John the Baptist." So was John the Baptist also sinless? Because I feel like since according to Mariology, Mary is the only person other than Jesus that has never sinned. Mm-hmm. Wouldn't that make Mary greater than John the Baptist? So is John the Baptist also sinless, or was he greater for some other reason?
Can you read that text to us?
Truly, I say to you, among those born of women, there has risen no one greater than John the Baptist.
Among those what?
Born of women. Was Mary not born of a woman?
Was Jesus born of a woman?
Yes.
Is John the Baptist greater than Jesus, who was born of a woman?
No.
There you go. The context is very clear, my friend. The content, by the way, yes, John the Baptist was, the tradition is he was cleansed in his mother's womb. He was without sin. But the teaching here is that he was the greatest of the prophets. The high praise here is because John is being singled out as the greatest of the prophets. But here, that is what it means there. Among those born of women, there has arisen no one greater than John the Baptist. But the context is of the prophets. He is of the greatest of the prophets. Because if you take it literally, without the context of it being about the prophets, he's the last one. He's the last and the greatest one. If you take it literally, then you just had to include Jesus there, because he's born of a woman. He's born of Mary. And then you're in a big problem, because then you're going to have to argue John the Baptist is better than Jesus, is greater. But that's not what's being taught here. What's being taught here very clearly is that he is the greatest of the prophets. Remember that his greatness is, how is it measured? In the Bible, it's measured within the Old Covenant. He is very clearly He is the greatest of the prophets because he's showing the greatness of the old covenant now being fulfilled, and he is that bridge between the old and the new. So he is the greatest of the prophets. But that is the context. Arguing otherwise makes you fall into a very dark pit of having to also argue that he is greater than Jesus, who was also born of a woman.
All right.
You see the problem with that, right? Taking it in a literalistic manner, that we need to read everything in context, and reading it in context very clearly is about him as the greatest of the prophets.
Yeah.
I don't know if had you ever heard that response, or had you never heard that?
Oh, well, it's just I've never asked anyone that before, and I've never seen
Okay.
anyone ask someone that.
So let me just show you without just simply saying it. By the way, we need to be careful, because if we take it in a literalistic sense, then we're in a pit, because he would be greater than Jesus if we're going to go along those lines. But the context is clear, and let me show you. Because in Matthew 11:9, notice what Jesus says. He asks, "What then did you go out to see? A prophet." Right there, we've got the context laid out. "Yes, I tell you, and more than a prophet." Matthew 11:9 says. So right away, we've got the context being of prophetic. The prophetic is in view. But immediately after that, he cites Malachi 3:1. Immediately after that, he's going to cite it. And notice how John is the messenger who prepares the way for the Lord. And verse 11 says, "Truly I say to you, among those born of women, there has risen no greater than John the Baptist." But right there, just a verse earlier, just 2 verses earlier, it says, "What did you go out to see? A prophet? No, I tell you, more than a prophet." So the context is clear already. It is built up to that. The context is linking the greatness of John the Baptist to his prophetic mission. He is the last and the greatest prophet. He is the one pointing to the Messiah. That's why he's the one that baptizes the Messiah. He's bringing the prophetic line to fulfillment. Moses, Elijah, Isaiah, they all foretold Christ, but John is now going to point to him in person. So he is that bridge between the old covenant and the new covenant. That is why in the context, it is of the greatest of the prophets.
But I don't think it's like mutually exclusive that Jesus could be talking about the prophets and also giving praise to John the Baptist as like a superlative to all people.
So you think that it includes Jesus, that he's greater than Jesus?
No.
Then what on earth do you mean? Superlatives are used all throughout the Bible. How can you tell me that it's not just about the prophetic context? If we take it literally, then he's greater than Jesus. Jesus was born of a woman. How do you deal with that? The way that we deal with that is we read the text in context. We read it in its surrounding context. We don't only do that, we then go and look and see what the early fathers say. And the early church fathers agree with my exegesis, the way that I've laid it out.
Can I also ask about the perpetual virginity?
Of course.
Okay, well, first I want to ask like what's the significance of whether or not Mary remained a virgin her whole life?
Well, it's true. So if something's true, we got to hold to it. That's the number one thing. I've heard people ask very often, well, why is it important to believe this? And my answer is always going to be the same one. If it's true, then we have to believe in it. Even if you think that, well, you know what, William, I don't think that it plays a humongous role in the theology of the Bible. Who cares? And, I don't really care about it. And I've had even Catholics tell me, well, I don't, really pay much attention to the idea of Mary being perpetual virgin. Fine. It doesn't matter. Every jot and tittle of the Bible is true. If we take the Bible to be the divine revelation of God, and not only the Bible, but the Word of God orally transmitted and transmitted to the text, if we take that to be divine revelation, then we assent to it. Then mentally, we've got to agree with it. And if Mary being perpetual virgin is true, well, then we assent to it. And it was true from the earliest of times. There's nobody in the early church that denies she was perpetual virgin. Let me make it even worse. There's no reformer that denies it. Martin Luther held to it. John Calvin held to it. Zwingli held to it. The only ones that denied Mary as perpetual virgin early on were the heretics. And then later on was the liberal Protestant movement. The ones that even denied Jesus was truly resurrected. those that believed it was a pious tale. You don't get anyone denying Mary was perpetual virgin, not even among the reformers. It is unanimous among the followers of Christ. So if the followers of Jesus believed Mary was perpetual virgin, I say, Ian, it is worthy to believe because it's been handed down to us in divine revelation. And that's good enough for me.
Oh, but it's like also required to be Roman Catholic, correct? To believe in the
It's required to be
perpetual virginity.
It is required to be part of any apostolic church, not just Catholic, any apostolic church. If you want to be part of any church that is apostolic, you've got to assent to it. Meaning you want to be Catholic, you have to believe in it. Eastern Orthodox, you believe in it. Oriental Orthodox, you believe in it. Assyrian Church of the East, you believe in it. Even Lutherans believe Mary was perpetual virgin. Even Anglicans believe in it. So the only church that you're going to find to where you don't need to you're not required to believe in it, is a church with low ecclesiology, meaning a modern day church, maybe a modern day Baptist church, a modern day Presbyterian church, those that are relatively new. You can join those and you don't have to believe in it. But then you're also joining a church that is very far removed from the apostolic church, very far removed from the teachings of the apostles. So, if that is your line of thinking, it's pretty dangerous, man.
Oh, well, I just want to ask because, like being a requirement to be in the Roman Catholic Church, like it said that you have to be in communion with Rome to be like more sure of salvation. So it's like, if you think about it, it's kind of like a requirement for salvation, given that you don't have invincible ignorance or whatever was Vatican II said about salvation outside of the church.
That would be for anything that is a teaching of the church. Anything. If you're not invincibly ignorant and you know that it is true, that goes for anything, not just the perpetual virginity. It goes for anything. But why would you deny the perpetual virginity? On the basis of what?
Oh, well, I'm not outright denying it right now. I'm just asking, like, what's the utmost importance of believing it?
Anything that's true, I would say. Anything that is in divine revelation. So if it's in divine revelation, we should believe it. Even the teachings on John the Baptist. If you tell me, well, William, I don't care much about John the Baptist. I don't really care much about him. It doesn't matter. You're required to believe everything the Bible says about him. Everything the church teaches in divine revelation, which is the written and the oral word of God, you are to believe. So even if you don't think it's important, if it's in divine revelation, you are required to give your assent to it.
Can I ask another thing?
Yeah, go for it, brother.
Okay, so whenever I see people object to the perpetual virginity, they're like, oh, this verse says Jesus' brothers and sisters, and then the Catholic response is, oh, well, that could have meant cousins. Well, I feel like the authors of Scripture, why didn't they just say cousin then, if that's what they meant? Because there were Greek words for cousin.
Which ones are they? Which ones are they?
Which ones are what?
You said there's a Greek word. There are Greek words for cousin. Which ones are they?
I don't know, man.
So, but you know that there's Greek words for cousin, but you don't remember which ones they are.
I mean, I don't know Greek.
Okay. First off, adelphos can mean nephew, cousin, or kinsman. And I'm pretty sure you know that.
Yeah, it can.
It can mean. In fact, in the Old Testament, in the Greek Septuagint, it's used for Lot's nephew. Lot's nephew. Lot is Abram's nephew. It's used for Lot, who was Abram's nephew. And it's also used for cousins in First Chronicles. It's also used that same way in the New Testament. So number one, very important to know immediately off the bat is adelphos can mean nephew, cousin, and kinsman. So it doesn't suffice to say, well, simply because it calls them brothers and sisters. Number one, what's to say that they were not children of Joseph from a previous marriage? Then they would be considered brothers, wouldn't they?
Yeah.
Is Joseph called Jesus' father?
No.
Yes.
Oh, wait, is he? I don't know. I don't know.
Yes, he is. He is. Is he his physical father?
No.
Of course not. So with that in mind, the Jews and the people that follow Jesus believe and they see the Holy Family. They believe Joseph is his father. So the very same could be here. They follow, they live under the same household. They follow the mother. They very well could be children of Joseph from a previous marriage. And even if they're not children of Joseph from a previous marriage, even if they're cousins, adelphos can be used for cousins as well. But the other important thing is, in the Gospel of St. Mark, chapter 6, right here, I'm going to read Mark 6 to you, because there's two Greek words that are used very often for cousin in the New Testament. It's the Greek word anepsios and the Greek word syngenes. They are very often used for cousin, almost in exclusivity. They're used. So let's look at this. Mark 6. Is this not the carpenter, the son of Mary, the brother of James and Joseph and Jude and Simon? Are not also his sisters here with us? And they were scandalized in regard of him. Then verse 4, but Jesus said to them, a prophet is not without honor, but in his own country and among his own kinsmen, his own relatives, and in his own house. Can we agree that in verse 3, the brothers, James, Joseph, Judas, and Simon, they're called brothers, right?
Yeah.
Can we agree his sisters are mentioned too, but they're not named?
Yeah.
In verse 4, Jesus says, a prophet is not without honor. Jesus is a prophet too, right?
Yes.
Okay. He's not without honor, but in his own country, among his own kinsmen, and in his own house. We would agree that kinsmen, relatives, and household go hand in hand, right? Kinsmen means relatives. The relatives that were just listed are James, Joseph, Judas, Simon, and the sisters, right?
Yes.
So in verse 3, they are identified as adelphos and adelphe, Ian. We're told that they're brothers and sisters. Then in verse 4, Jesus tells you how they are brothers and sisters. Remember, here is the important thing, Ian. Very often the Bible does call someone a brother and a sister, and then it will tell you how they are brother and sister. It'll identify how they are. And here in Mark 6, in verse 4, our Lord says, a prophet is not without honor in his own country, among his own relatives. You wanted to know why the brothers are never called cousins, but they are right here. In verse 4, you've got a particular Greek word used there. So let's go deep. In verse 3, they're called adelphos, and I bolded it out in red. That's the Greek word adelphos. Adelphos, iakobu, and then I bolded out the next one. It's a Greek word, syngenusin. And you can Google it, you can look it up for yourself right now. Syngenusin is the Greek word for kinsman or cousin. It is used for cousin as well many times over. But right there, he identifies how they are his brothers. He tells you they're his brothers and his sisters. In fact, he uses the Greek word adelphe in the feminine. But then immediately he tells you they are relatives, meaning they very well could be cousins or stepbrothers or a mixture of both. Because immediately after telling you they're his brothers and sisters, he identifies them as syngenusin. You ask me, why doesn't it just use a Greek word for cousin? Well, it does use one. Because there are two Greek words for cousin, anepsios and syngenes, and it uses syngenusin right here. So it tells you right there, notice another thing to point out. He's called son of Mary, not one of Mary's sons, son of Mary. But then really the key is this, where our Lord in an explicit fashion categorizes this offended group as the syngenes, the relatives, the kinsmen. And I want you to pay attention, even if you have to hear the show over and over and over. Within the pericope, the adelphos, the brothers and sisters, they are now subsumed under the umbrella of relatives. But that Greek word means they cannot be children of Mary. There's no possible way. That Greek word is not used for children, for siblings of the same mother. It cannot be. That is why the author, which is St. Mark, we believe, we know, will tell you they're brothers and sisters, but immediately then tell you how they're related. They're not literally children of Mary. That is why the early church was unanimous in understanding that none of these are children of Mary, and many thought they were children of Joseph from a prior marriage, and Jerome thought that they were cousins, but they cannot be children of Mary. So the Bible does use a word that leans towards the view of them being cousins.
All right.
Is that helpful, brother?
Yeah, that's helpful. That's helpful. Thank you for clearing that up.
I don't know what faith you are considering, brother, but I would recommend you not abandon the Apostolic Church. I'd recommend you really reconsider, because, and I tell you with love, I tell you with all love, brotherly love, the arguments you've presented today have been really bad.
Oh, well, I'm not trying to disprove or argue with you. I'm just asking questions.
Okay, no, but
like...
maybe you think that those are silver bullets. But I'm not insulting you at all. I'm simply saying, if these particular arguments have swayed you, I'm telling you right now, they're very, very bad, and there's answers for all of them. And hopefully I was able to help you with the answers.
It was helpful. It was helpful.
If you have any others, I'd love for you to come back up. I'm going to be live again tomorrow.
All right. Well,
okay,
have a good day, man. God bless.
God bless you, Ian. I'll be praying for you, my friend. Look forward to talking to you again. That was wonderful being able to talk to Ian. Guys, definitely pray for him. Pray for Ian. And I want to give a shout out to AB. AB, God bless you, my friend. And we're able to bulldoze bad arguments because of your ministry. That means a lot to me, AB. That truly does mean a lot. And I greatly appreciate your support to ministry. Number one, thank you for being a phenomenal, goated member and moderator. Thank you for your incredible support, my friend. As I've said, you guys probably think I sound like a broken record, but I mean it. We are able to do what we do here because of your support. We would not be here without it. So I want to give AB a phenomenal shout out. You rock, my man. Dominique Canis, thank you for becoming a member. And I hope you love the members experience, brother. Hope you love it. Gary, you got it. You got it, man. These are not good arguments, guys. They're not good. Not good at all. But we pray, man. We pray for these people, man. Gary, God bless you, my friend. I hope you're doing well. Guys, audience, I don't know, but let me be very clear. We've got a lot of people back here. But maybe people showed up late and they didn't hear what I said. On the right-hand side, what is your faith in your question? Otherwise, I can't bring you up. Guys, in 20 minutes, Sam is going to go live. So we're going to close the doors of the dojo in 20 minutes. You guys got to come up, man. You got to come up, man. Da, 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 da. No, he's not, brother. No, he's not. He's mocking Protestants, brother. I know, Gary. What are you talking about, man? He's mocking the idea that 2,000 years later, modern-day Protestants would know better. No, he's not, brother. Not at all, man. Come on, guys. Gary, what's up, my man? They're slandering you, brother.
Oh, great. Do I got everything turned on here?
Hey, how you doing, my friend? Hope you're doing well.
Fine. 100% supporting you. I recommend everybody, first of all, become a patron. Come on.
Thank you so much, brother. Thank you for your kind words. I watched
some of your stuff today. It was amazing.
Awesome. Have you been liking the new metaphysics of the Eucharist? Have you not gotten to that yet?
I haven't got to that one. What was I doing? I was doing the intercession.
Awesome. Great. I'm glad you like that one, brother. Glad you like it.
Joe Heschmeyer was on today. Interview with Keith Nestor.
Oh, very cool.
And he was mentioning stuff about the translating. Now, who are you going to believe? Some Protestant minister 2,000 years later trying to translate Koine Greek, or the early church fathers who actually spoke the language, wrote in the language. They knew what it meant in the New Testament.
And you got it spot on there, Gary. This is just, it gets to the point of being ridiculous. You know,
that's like someone telling me I speak English and they're in Italy or Germany. They got a book on English telling me what I mean. Are you kidding me?
And that is that you're correct about that. And I recall a year and a half ago, Gary, I was debating Dr. Dan Barker, very prominent atheist, and he was trying to argue about a contradiction being in the book of Acts. So I went to the book of Acts preparing for the debate. And I put the Greek side by side, and then I stuck to the Greek fathers, Chrysostom, Damascene, and many others, and I showed how not a one of them interpreted the way Dan Barker was. And when I was cross-examining him, I said, do you think you know better than Chrysostom or any of these early Greek fathers that were proficient in Greek? And he flat out said yes.
Oh.
Can you believe that? He flat out said yes. Are you kidding me? I told him. And that is on record. People can find that debate. I'm like, are you kidding? You know better than they knew in Greek? But that is a level of arrogance that we're dealing with, Gary. That is wild. Wild level of arrogance.
It is just so sad. They're not they're afraid to look outside of their little bubble.
Yep.
And you had that fellow on earlier, the Muslim one, I believe.
Sure. Yep.
Why don't they come like with citations and verses and stuff?
Why
don't they back it up?
They never can. They never can. They don't ever have anything to back it up. We come and we show up with receipts. In fact, I have many documents of Islamic authors after the Quran that clearly do believe the name Imran is the name of Mary's father. It's a very clear error. It is a really, really bad error, and it highlights the problems in the Quran, in Muhammad's teaching as well, but they never have any receipts. I wish they'd just be honest. I wish they would just be honest and just flat out say they don't know. Yeah, it really is.
I mean, in the 10th and 11th century, they were known for great scholarship, and then I don't know what happened in the 20th century, 21st.
Yep, 100%.
They seem to have gone downhill. I didn't really have a question. I just wanted to, confirm the language issue there.
Yep.
So
awesome,
I don't want to hold you up, but I just
brother, if you want to come back later, no worries at all. Would love to dialogue with you anytime, brother.
Okay, thank you. Bye.
God bless you, my friend. Always great hearing from the brother. Guys, let me pull up my Bible. All right, hold on, guys. Hold on, guys. Hold on. I want to give a shout out to Jimmy. Sorry, I had to pause there, guys. I had to open up my my critical text, man. Just to piggyback yesterday, in Contra Marcion, book 4, chapter 19, he writes, his mother's womb, which bore him, likewise bore those who were counted as brothers, the sons of Mary. We got a big problem here, Jimmy. And we've encountered a problem. Yeah. And I'm going to be honest with you, Jimmy, this is a big problem. Because the problem that we have now encountered is a fake quote. That doesn't exist. That doesn't exist anywhere. I've got my Against Marcion open. I've got the multiple recensions of Against Marcion, book 4, chapter 19 open. Those words don't exist. I don't know who told you they did, but very likely we're dealing with a problem of ChatGPT, which very often we encounter people that don't know better. They don't realize ChatGPT is going to put you right here into my hands, and I'm going to devour you even easier. I have ChatGPT for breakfast. I have ChatGPT as an hors d'oeuvre. That quote doesn't exist. I know. Now, here's a nightmare that people are going to have to deal with. When dealing with me and the Marian doctrines, the nightmare they're going to have to deal with is that not only do I know every single section where Tertullian brings up Mary, I know that what people do not know is I also know the chronology. Meaning, we can look at the period of Tertullian's life before he was a Montanist and once he became, before he was a Montanist and once he became a Montanist. But let me try and help. I have no idea who tried to look this up, who tried to concoct this argument. But I don't know what to say, man. We're in book 4, chapter 19. I don't know what to say, man. So the problem is, let's go to book 5. Because the person that mentioned it doesn't realize that the contexted text is not in book 4, it's in book 5. And no such text exists in book 4 or 5. Neither of them. So I've got the critical edition open in front of me. I've got the different recensions open in front of me. And whoever shared that with you, you should now approach them and pulverize the life out of them and never, ever, ever, ever let them escape the fact that they used a fake quote. I've caught Orthodox using fake quotes. I've caught Protestants using fake quotes. I've told people over and over, ChatGPT will never replace real scholarship. I've told people over and over, ChatGPT will end your credibility. I've told people over and over, do not take a Greek text or a Latin text and put it into ChatGPT and try to translate it. I've told them over and over, and they don't listen. They don't pay attention. Because ChatGPT will translate some portions, not all of it. How do I know? Because I can read Greek and I can read Spanish, which I tried to plug into Spanish work a while back, and it didn't even translate half of it. It cut out a bunch of parts. And that's the professional version that I tried as a trial. I've warned people over and over to not use ChatGPT. I don't know what to say. But when people have to resort to using fake quotes, when they've got to resort to using fake quotes to try to prove Mary had other children, the debate is over. It's over. And you dust yourself off and you move on. The debate is over. ChatGPT will always hand you over right into my hands. Right into my hands. I love it. I love debating with people that use ChatGPT. I love you more, my man. And I want to say thank you for your incredible and phenomenal support to ministry, brother. Guys, we got about 10 more minutes before Sam is going to go live, but I'm glad that Jimmy asked that, man. I don't know what on earth, where that came from, but wild, man. That was wild. Ask a robot, man. Yeah, well, that's different, though, man. That's different. Checking your grammar is different, dude. That's different than translating or you asking it to find quotes for you. That's different, man. That's very different. And you're not always going to get genuine answers. Be careful. Be careful. I'm telling you guys. I'm telling you, man. Who do we have back here? Let's see. Oh, right. You remember that one, man? Wild. All right, guys. You guys are phenomenal. You guys are great. Let's take one other question and then we'll close the doors of the JoJo. Hold on. Nicole, you able to hear me?
Yes. Hi. How are you?
I'm doing well. How about you? How you doing?
I'm good. I'm a rideshare driver, so I was listening to your
cool.
stream, so I pulled over so I didn't know if you would get to me because if you had other people in your queue.
I do have other people, but I saw you were there waiting a little bit longer, so I definitely brought you up. What's up? What do you got in your mind?
Thank you. First, thank you so much for doing your stream. I'm not Catholic.
Okay.
I'm a Protestant, but I listen into your stream all of the time. So thank you for it. It's very robust. I take a lot away to study.
Good.
I know you're speaking today on the topic of Mariology, yes?
Yes, you're correct.
Okay, I have a clarifier question or a question I wanted to ask to kind of drill down deeper. Because when I can admit as a Protestant, there's a lot of like deeper theological things that we're not necessarily taught. So this is like so new to me.
Sure.
So as it relates to the perpetual virginity of Mary, please don't think me stupid. One, can you define what perpetual is? And two, would you be able to drill down? Because I know the other young man had just asked, like, what's the significance? And you were stating that, which I have no contest with, that the church fathers, Luther, all of the other people believed in her perpetual virginity. But my question is, if they all believe that, which is totally fine, what is the why behind it? Like, my question is, I know in the apostolic world, she's viewed to be without sin. So would it have been like if she had had a physical union with Joseph, would that cause her to like have sin on her person, like in her body? Like, is that why she's believed to be a virgin? Does that make sense? My question?
Yeah, it does. Now, perpetual means to the end of her life.
Oh,
Period.
okay.
Her whole
Thank
life,
you.
she remained perpetual virgin.
I
Now,
was like, what does that mean?
Yeah. Now, so here's the other thing, and we refer to this as divine revelation. What is divine revelation? That is God's own self-communication. It could be in written form or handed down orally. Now, if something is taught in divine revelation, then if God reveals it, it's true. So if the perpetual virginity of Mary is revealed, and it was as held universally all over the Catholic world, then it isn't just a devotional opinion. Then that means it's a truth revealed by God. That is why all of the early Christians and even early reformers believed in it. But why does it matter? Now, I say anything that is divine revelation matters. But, if we get down to the nitty gritty and we drill deeper, it matters because it safeguards the conception of Christ. The uniqueness of the conception of Christ, the uniqueness of it. His birth is singular, and he is the singular son of Mary, and of course the singular son of God. He's not one among many siblings. Mary truly was set aside as a new ark of the new covenant to give birth to Almighty God. So that is really the theology of the new ark. Like the old ark was sealed and untouchable, Holy Mary remains inviolate, preserved just as she is the new ark, which the Bible does lay her out as a new ark. So I would say that if it is in divine revelation, it's worthy to believe. And, that's why the early church believed it unanimously. Really, the only time you find it denied early on, Nicole, is
my camp. I know that.
No, not at all. Early on were the heretics, not even the Protestants. Early on, those Arians became famous for denying it. People that denied Jesus was God, they denied Mary was perpetual virgin. Not even the Protestants. Later on, way after Luther, liberal Protestantism began to deny Mary as perpetual virgin. But early on, the early Protestants believed the Marian dogmas. Luther believed Mary was mother of God, immaculately conceived, bodily assumed, and perpetual virgin. And I can go on and on. The early reformers believe these things about Mary that modern day Protestant pastors clearly don't believe.
Okay. So that makes a lot of sense. So because Mary is literally the thing that held Christ in her womb, that's literally the new ark. That is why she couldn't have, I don't want to use the word, but intercourse after
the early
Jesus was born.
And the early fathers, and I take this position too, the early fathers believed she was a perpetually vowed virgin. So she had totally given her life up to God.
Oh, you're saying that she made like a chastity vow?
That's correct, yes. Which would not have been uncommon. And the idea of people married and still remaining, abstinent in marriage and devoting their life towards God, there's evidence of that in early Judaism and in early Christianity as well. It would kind of be like a model of consecration. So, yeah, I think it's a beautiful teaching, and I find it all over the early church. I believe it to be ancient, and I think it's part of divine revelation. So if it ticks all of those boxes, then I think it definitely should be believed.
For me, because I love to read, where can I, because like me as a evangelical, there's so much to like, oh my God, sir, there's so much to read, and it is so overwhelming trying to figure out where and when and what and how to start. If I'm honest, I'm not necessarily considering orthodoxy or Catholicism, but I do find myself on the Protestant side. I just have a lot of doctrinal, like theological questions that are like twirling up here.
Well, if you have questions about any other topic, I'm going to be live again early tomorrow, and you can ask other topics too. I'm going to be live again early tomorrow, but I would recommend, if you want to learn more about Mary, I wrote a book on Mary called Mary Among the Evangelists. I'm not trying to sell it to you. You don't have to buy it on Amazon. Get a Kindle Unlimited subscription. You can begin reading it for free. Check that out, and we lay out the biblical basis for what we believe about Mary. I think you'd learn a lot, and you'd be able to get a lot from that.
Okay. My other question is, so I just finished Against Heresies, which is a fascinating book. I found an audio version of it. There's a full audio version of it on YouTube. So when I'm working, I just listen to it. My question is, if you could recommend like 5 strong books to start within the apostolic world. I already read Against Heresies. What would be the other 4 you would recommend to kind of give like a robust overview?
I'd recommend you get the 3-volume set, Faith of the Early Fathers by William Jurgens. Because not only you're going to get a lot of fathers in there, and you're going to see how the early church was Catholic. And you can say, okay, well, I don't agree with this, but you're going to see how overwhelmingly in every century, the living, breathing, acting church was a Catholic church. It had the model laid out from the first centuries of the way the church is today, with a diaconate, a priesthood, with bishops and with the head shepherd, that being Peter and his successors. I'd recommend you get it's a 3-volume set of Faith of the Early Fathers and go through that set. It has a lot of writings of the early fathers and a lot that you can't find in English. Get that set and devour that set. And if you have any questions during that time period, come on by here and ask me, and I'll help you out.
Will do. And last question, sir. What is your stream schedule? Because I just happened to be
It's
on
all
YouTube
over
and
the
I
map.
saw you were live. And I'm like,
Yes.
I'm structured. I put the streams like on my calendar and I'm like, I can't never catch his schedule.
I'll try to start structuring it out, but because I travel a lot, like tomorrow I'm going to be doing a show early, then flying out to California. Since I travel a lot.
Oh, that's where I live.
Really? Okay. I'm going to be in California.
I live in San Juan Capistrano.
I don't know if that's near. I'm going to be near Sonoma County. I don't know if that's near there.
Oh, no, that's Northern California.
Okay.
I'm like 9 hours away from you.
Well, I will try to make a more structured schedule, God willing, when I come back. But yeah, keep an eye out. Tomorrow I'll be live again early. So if you have anything on your mind, any other questions, swing on by and we'll talk.
Thank you. So Faith of the Early Fathers. I will go pick that up right now.
God bless you, Nicole. Talk to you soon.
Thank you, sir. Bye-bye.
Guys and gals, Sam is about to go live, and I got to head to the gym, man. I got to go to the gym, guys, because I have not gotten there yet. So we're going to wrap it up. We're going to close the doors of the dojo right now. I want to give a shout out to Joe Rowe. What time is the live tomorrow? God bless you. I'm going to aim for, I got to get to the gym. So I'm probably going to aim for maybe 2 p.m. Central Time or 1 p.m. I'll figure it out tonight, Joe Rowe. You're part of our phenomenal, incredible closed WhatsApp group. Guys, if you have not checked this out on patreon.com, please consider checking this out. Consider supporting ministry. You guys have been incredible. Those that sent super chats, those that sent memberships. Guys, we would not be here if not for your phenomenal support. We're here able to do what we do because of your support. Joe Rowe, shout out to you. God bless you. With that being said, we're off and we're on our way to the gym, guys. We're heading over there right now. We're going to have hold on. Let me get the link before I go, guys, to Sam's show. Where is it? Let me get the link. Here it is, guys. Here is the link. You guys head over there right now. My brother in arms, Heretic, is about to go live. God bless you all. God keep you. I love you all from the bottom of my heart. Y'all rock.
I believe in one God, the Father Almighty, maker of heaven and earth, of all things visible and invisible. I believe in one Lord Jesus Christ, the only begotten Son of God, born of the Father before all ages, God from God, light from light, true God from true God, begotten, not made, consubstantial with the Father. Through him all things were made, for us men and for our salvation. He came down from heaven, and by the Holy Spirit was incarnate of the Virgin Mary, and became man. For our sake he was crucified under Pontius Pilate. He suffered death and was buried, and rose again on the third day. In accordance with the Scriptures, he ascended into heaven, and is seated at the right hand of the Father. He will come again in glory, to judge the living and the dead, and his kingdom will have no end. I believe in the Holy Spirit, the Lord, the giver of life, who proceeds from the Father and the Son, who with the Father and the Son is adored and glorified, who has spoken through the prophets. I believe in one holy, Catholic, and Apostolic Church. I confess one baptism for the forgiveness of sins, and I look forward to the resurrection of the dead and the life of the world to come. Amen.